Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. I, of course, am Hammer, founder of. Oops, no, let's get rid of that. All right, off my game. I am Hammer, founder of Originator Success, Grab and Go Social, and Rate Sensei. 3 great products to help you, my originator friends, generate more business in 2026. Remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Broadcasted to you on Facebook and YouTube, talking about what's going on with rates and pricing. It was boring for a while there. It's gotten interesting again. That's what happens when you have military conflict in the Middle East. Today, we're going to talk about CPI inflation data, what it was, what it meant, what happened, the response. Spoiler alert, nothing. But anyway, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk, of course, about what's going on in Iran and where rates are likely to be going from here and why because of all that. So we'll have some fun with that. Remember, if you would like to join me live and you don't want to miss a moment of the show, you can get a reminder text message with the links. Sign up at hmmr.io/reminder or use this cool QR code. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Right there. If you're on your phone now, take a screenshot, and then you can go back and actually press and hold the QR code. It should open up the link. I send you out a text message as I'm going live with the links on Facebook and YouTube, so you can choose where to join us, and you can hop on each and every day. Also, remember that we send out an email. It's been getting a little late. I gotta do that before I do the lives now. I got to get back on that. So anyway, ratelockadvice.com. Sign up to get the email each and every weekday morning. If you want to protect your pipeline and stay most up to date during these crazy times, you don't have to spend a lot of money on cool services like MBS Highway or MBS Live. They are great, but you don't have to. You can spend $7 a month and get our text alerts. We send a morning alert, an afternoon alert, and alerts when things are either improving and you want to float. And I think we're like the only service that does that, or when you want to lock in. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Hold on a minute. This is the mobile vet. Don't get too close. No, she's got it though. All right. Anyway, that was distracting. Sorry about that. It's one of those, I'm like, squirrel. All right, so if you're here this morning, say good morning. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget, give me #replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Otherwise, we are all kinds of all set. And anyway, let's go ahead and say hi to a few of the live folks. Tiffany Teal, Yasmin Martin, and Angela Walters. Good morning, Nicole Semerad. Brian Reed is live. Good to have you here, Mr. Reed. Kathy Jensen and Michael Scott Love, Jared Vincent, Brandy Brickler. Good morning, my friends. So great to see so many of you. I feel connected because I get to see all of you. Mike Brown, Paul George, Charlie Bedita. Good morning, sir. And anyway, Allison Foy. I don't see my man Zane on this morning. I wonder where they are. So anyway, maybe they'll get on in a moment. I don't see Ron Siegel either. So let's go ahead and let's get started. First, we'll take a look at the technicals. Let's go ahead and go there. Let me bring up the screen, show you what we got going on over here. And let me pull up Presentify so I can highlight what's there. Good morning, Tammy Metzger, Allison Foy. Great to have you all here as well. So taking a look right now, mortgage-backed securities currently up 5 basis points. Oh, look at that, 6 basis points on the morning. Yeehaw. 10-year Treasury yield, though, is up 4.18. If we take a look at where we're at here, quick recap, starting with what happened yesterday. Let me zoom in a little bit, and let me make this screen a little smaller so I can get this above the fold. There you go. So taking a look yesterday, that's everything in front of this dotted line right here. So taking a look yesterday, a lot of volatility. Volatility remains the name of the game. If we do a 5-day look back, you could see we have had big swings. We're down, we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down. But yet, you know what's pretty cool here is that generally, if we kind of find a mean here, a median, if you will, the middle number, you know, it's like we're down, we're down, we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down. And there's a good chance today that we will end up back up. And what that's done is it's kept rates more stable than you would think that they would be. So that's actually been a good thing. But as we take a look, volatility remains the name of the game. When we take a look at yesterday, right here around 130, that was basically this level right here was where bonds were peaking right around 130 Eastern time. And then they really just kind of lost their ground going through the afternoon and ended the day at the worst levels. They were all the way down here. That was well below where we were when lenders came out with pricing. There was a drop here that, of course, makes a frowny face. That's not anything that you want to see. So we did see some of that. The good news was there were very few late day reprices worse, and that was surprising. Usually when you're losing this much ground, but what that does show us is that a lot of lenders are being conservative when they're setting their prices, and that's why you're seeing less of that. Now, rate sheets today, though, are going to be worse. Again, mortgage-backed securities currently down here, 99.53. I know that we're up 4 basis points at the moment, but yesterday when pricing came out, we were around 99.80. So you're talking almost minus 30 basis points here, minus 25 to minus 30 basis points. So that's going to make pricing worse. Looking at where things were at, once again, very surprising. But I mean, we saw an improvement on rate sheets yesterday here. We would have improved from 6.14 to 6.09 according to Mortgage News Daily. So we're showing some, basically some improvement in pricing. And today it'll bring us back up to that 6.14 kind of mark, So it's not huge losses, but when you look at where we were when pricing came out, generally the last few days, it was like 99.61. Down here it was like 99.70. So we are worse. So it could be even a little bit worse than the 6.14. Depends on how they want to price. But again, it'll be close. It'll be close. Rates remain relatively low when you look at all that. CPI inflation data came out this morning. I warned you that this was going to take a huge backseat compared to what's going on in Iran. And that's exactly, what happened. Even Bloomberg said it, relegated to background noise amid the Iran war. They all use the word war. It's not a war, it's conflict. We haven't declared war. So I think it's shorter. I think it's more of a headline, but it's inaccurate. And I think journalists have gotten lazy. I really do. I think they've gotten lazy. It's not a war. We are not in a war right now. This is a conflict. So that is all that it is. But anyway, reports were in line with forecasts across the board for the numbers. If we take a look at that, you can see a little chart right here. Let me swing this over so you get that a little bit better. The actual numbers compared to the estimated numbers and where we were. The month-over-month headline CPI was estimated at 0.3, came in at 0.3. The core month-over-month estimated at 0.2, came in at 0.2. The year-over-year headline number, 2.4, came in at 2.4. And then the core, which removes energy and food prices, estimated at 2.5, came in at 2.5. So this is actually a good thing. Inflation has generally been on a downward trend in recent months after proving stubborn for much of last year, but renewed inflation concerns with the conflict with Iran, which has boosted oil, gasoline, and fertilizer costs, risk amplifying affordability worries among Americans ahead of this year's midterm elections. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes based on this, my friends. A lot going on. This right here. So we're going to see a lot of activity. It's still early in the year, but those midterm elections come in November. The primaries are out of the way, and we're there. So, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I was wrong on the gas thing, by the way, the other day. That was only New Jersey that had that rule of one time. Here I am spreading misinformation. I'm so sorry. I didn't even think that might be state by state. And thanks to Ron Siegel for pointing that out. So, but taking a look here, staying on track, reprice risk on the day is high. Military action is continuing, and all of that stuff is happening here. Iran shifts from reciprocal to continuous strikes. Let me go full screen and we'll just look at this together here. So Iran shifts from reciprocal to continuous strikes. I got to tell you, again, I don't get into a lot of conversation about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And this isn't political commentary or geopolitical commentary. It's, I'm not MSNBC or Fox News or anything. So none of that really matters. But one thing I do want to point out is that it really, one of the things I've been amazed about is how that Iran continues to have a tremendous amount of weaponry. They're not getting help that we know of. They're not getting stuff from Russia or China. And yet they continue, they are able to produce a tremendous amount of cheap missiles and drones. And, just looking at somebody, they have all of this stockpiled already. They have the stockpiled. How could we not think that this is a country that would take the step to go nuclear if they could? Just saying. Just saying. I don't usually veer into the side that much, but man, I mean, this is a thing. So, as far as where things go, I mean, the outlook for the Fed remains very much the same. No expectation at all of any kind of Fed rate cut to come in March. April almost disappeared, almost off the table. Now, remember, at one time it was even a coin flip. That's off the table. June, about a 40% expectation we could see a cut by June. It starts to get more of a coin flip by July, where we're at less than a 50% chance that we would remain where we're at right now. By the end of the year, markets are basically pricing in the idea that we will have one cut. It's about an 80% expectation here. You can see there's a 20% expectation there may not be any cuts at all this year. So normally this inflation data would have been good. This would have helped the idea that, the Fed could cut rates. We had that weak labor market data last week. These are things that would have helped rate sheets improve. However, everything taking a backseat to what's going on, in the Middle East. And that's going to continue to happen. As we see oil prices rise, so will rates. As Ron was just pointing out, he said, let me see. Ron said, volatility follows the geopolitical headlines. Every new Iran headline moves the market. Great for forecasting, and that's so true, man. And that's why I put the rate outlook, continued volatility, but I think they could creep higher. We got a short reprieve for rates a couple of days ago when Trump assured markets the conflict was almost over. Monday, remember, oil opened up. It hit a high of 119 a barrel for ICE Brent crude, and that was, just we saw rates melt down. And then Trump said, oh, no, we're almost done. We're very complete. All this, and he assured everything. And markets wanted to hear that. They wanted to be consoled. They wanted to be assured. They wanted to be this. They want to lean into this. So oil drops back down, $90 a barrel, starts to move in that direction. We saw a huge improvement in mortgage pricing that day on Monday, which was totally unexpected. We could see that right here, this big improvement that we got right here. And that was all due to that same thing. However, the next day, yesterday, we had the Pentagon, Department of War, Pete Hegseth there saying we're going to make the most airstrikes we've made, and we're not going to stop until we wrap this thing up. Also, what needs to be noticed here is, and there was an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal that talked about this. Trump says the war is nearly won, but Israel has other ideas. Israel is sticking with its overarching goal of creating the conditions for regime change in Tehran. So the reason I bring this up, again, this stuff is important just to recognize, even if the U.S. were to stop, even if we say, okay, we're done, if there's continued military action from Israel, it's still going to affect oil prices, the Strait of Hormuz, all of that. And we're not going to see everything just turn hunky-dory. That's why we're talking about this. So this is something that needs to be recognized, is that this is not necessarily just in the United States' hands, and certainly not just in Trump's hands. That, okay, as much as he'll make it sound that way, it's not. So if this continues and we're seeing issues like we see where, 3 more vessels were hit by projectiles in the Strait of Hormuz, this is the issue. This is a thing, right? 3 more vessels hit by projectiles in Strait of Hormuz, showing merchant ships remain in firing line. This is what Iran is trying to do. They're trying to win on the economic front by driving oil up to $200 a barrel, by stopping the flow not only from Iran but from all of the Middle East getting out to all of everybody that wants the oil. So that'll of course be a huge problem for Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, all the OPEC states, even Russia a little bit, but Russia doesn't need the Strait of Hormuz, so Russia's going to win on this. This is going to all continue to have some implications. But as far as mortgage rates go, we need to recognize that we're in a really good spot right now. And if this is, let me make this full screen. It's a little better to see it, and I'll get my head out of the way again. So let me just move this off of here. Ron, you think that even though Israel has said that the U.S. and Israel will stop simultaneously, we won't see one stop and the other continue? I would have agreed with you at one point, but I don't now. I think Trump could stop and let them continue going. So, but if we take a look, I mean, guys, we had our best locks down here back on February the 27th on Friday. Again, this is Optimal Blue. Optimal Blue shows what they were receiving locks at using the system, but it doesn't show the points paid to get those locks. So keep that in mind. All right. But you've got here 5.975 on Monday. That was the jump. I mean, look at that. There were probably higher rebate to get that, some points paid, or people might have been getting a credit back that they didn't get here. And it went up to 6.02, back down to 5.99 on Wednesday a week ago. And then it's been creeping up since. 6.08 on Monday. Yesterday, 6.06. Today, you'd be kind of back up again a little bit. But, in the scheme of things, look at how great rates still are. I know it's hard to convince a consumer of that, or even agents of that. But, I mean, based on what's going on, this is pretty amazing. And there is a lot of room for things to get worse. That's where I'm kind of going with that. There is room for things to get worse. Derek said Iran is playing too much and others are going to get really upset and they're going to not have any allies. They already didn't have any allies. There's nobody that stepped up to their defense, Derek. They don't care. They're extremists, and it's when you look at the Islamic Royal Guard, that is who it is. They're extremists. How much does the third carrier affect the straits? The third carrier, what do you mean by that? I don't know. You mean the third, an aircraft carrier? I don't know what that means, Randy. You probably are making sense on something, but I just don't know. I'm not learned on it. I'm ignorant, so I don't know what it is. Ron Siegel said Saudi Arabia is starting to move their oil through the Red Sea. That'll stabilize prices. It does slow delivery, but it'll get product flowing. Yeah, that's true. And I think we'll see more of that. Especially yesterday, there was talk that Iran might put mines in the Strait of Hormuz, or had done so already. So, I think they'll look for other places. Derek, I think rates will go higher too, but when the conflict is over, then it'll go down. It will go down, but like you said, at what pace? It's not going to just drop. But again, it doesn't have a lot of room to go lower either. We haven't seen rates shoot up to 6 3/4. You're looking at rates that are a quarter point higher than they were at the lowest low a couple weeks ago, a week and a half ago. You got to recognize that. We have not seen rates skyrocket here. It's not like oil prices, which did skyrocket. Rates have not skyrocketed. When you see going from 5.99 to 6.08, that's an eighth of a point in rate. If we want to argue and say because of rebate changes and stuff that we've seen a quarter point jump in rates by now, that's not huge. So when you say, well, rates will go back down, if they drop an eighth, they went back. Like, how much lower do you think they're going to go? They're not going to go that much lower from here yet. It's going to take a little while. And especially after this is over, it'll take a few weeks. But we need to see things that would drive it down. Derek agrees. Ron said rates like gas go up on the elevator and down on the stairs. Agreed. Absolutely on that. Pipeline capacity pretty small compared to the tanker volume for the strait. Yeah, I'm sure that's true, but I don't know what pipelines they're using, and that might be when you're saying they're starting to move their oil through the Red Sea. again, there will be a vacuum, and other places will fill it. Russia will fill it. For the United States, we're here, and there's reserves, there's global reserves, and they've gotten ready um, to get to that and wrap up. So let me see what time it is. I want to wrap up. This is the last part here. If you guys want to kind of keep going over this, Iran tells the world, get ready for $200 a barrel. This is their way to win. That's what they're trying to do, is to drive and push that there. Um, and again, not that I want to see a single person injured or obviously killed, but still, look at how amazing this is, where we're at in this day and age. As many as 150 U.S. troops wounded so far in the Iran, and it's not a war. But that is crazy to me. That is such a low number. And again, any is too many, but yet no boots on the ground. There was a time. I mean, think about World War I, World War II. Thousands of people. Look at Vietnam. Thousands and six figures in deaths. That to me is the one saving grace, at least. And despite some civilian casualties, which is always sad, it's a very interesting thing to me on how this stuff is conducted these days. So, but anyway, as we get through all this, seeing if there's anything else. So, all right. Well, again, thank you all. Appreciate you. I'll throw that lock advice back on the screen again. Start the day off cautiously floating. Consider locking loans according to risk tolerance and time until they close. But when you have a day like yesterday where things get better, you look for those days. Today, we're not so good. I wouldn't necessarily be in a hurry, but you do have to recognize we do have room for things to get worse. And if you got something closing near term, take that into consideration. Loans with time, it doesn't look like we have to worry too much yet. It's amazing that things continue to stay low, kind of where they're at, but we'll see where they go. So, all right, my friends, I think we have everything. Ships have to buy insurance per trip. The premiums for the strait are through the roof, and that will not go down immediately, even if the conflict is resolved. That's true. And my microphone moved because Sophia is up here wanting to be petted. So you're going to come here, Sophia. Say hi to everybody. There you brat. She's jumping up on the desk. So, all right, my friends. Well, I'm like the evil cat guy. That's right. I am the cat guy. So I'll catch y'all later. Have a fantastic day. We'll see where things go tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.